Anyhow, welcome. My name is Heather Gamble, and I have the pleasure of facilitating this incredible panel this afternoon, who's going to join you for some very stimulating conversation around women in the workplace being mining and metals, and as it relates specifically to PPE and workplace design. So I just want to share with you, my background is not mining. I run a business accelerator for women entrepreneurs, and I have the pleasure of working with several women-owned businesses in mining and metals who actually service these areas. So it's with our great support and pleasure that we're so proud of these women and bring them here to you today. We have Kari, who's going to be giving you background around her company, around Diamonds in the Rough. And she's leader of that, very incredibly unique and innovative what she's doing as it relates to mine rescue. Jillian is almost graduating from UBC from mining engineer, and she works in conjunction with Kari and is going to be sharing her experience thus far as it relates to mine rescue services. And she's been able to achieve some outstanding accomplishments in that arena, obviously in conjunction with Kari. And then we have Alicia Woods, and Alicia, as maybe many of you know, I certainly hope you do know, but that she runs an organization called Cover Gals. We're going to hear from Alicia and talk about Alicia's actually evolving her business and accelerating it, moving it into new arenas to address this incredible opportunity that we have before us. So I'm going to hand it over to each one of the ladies right now to introduce themselves and give you a bit more background for them, starting with Alicia.
Well, thank you very much, Heather. For those that don't know, Heather actually formed an organization called the Artemis Project, so I got to give her kudos for that. There's actually many Artemis members around here. So Artemis is a consortium of women-led companies in the mining, supply, and service sector. So Heather has really pulled all of us together to create a support network and actually go to the industry saying, hey, there's all these companies that are run by women. So thank you, Heather. So creator of Cover Gals, I've been in the mining industry for 20 years now, focused on the underground mining equipment space. But during my time underground, I obviously discovered a huge issue with the workwear. For the first 10 years of my career, I just simply did not drink anything before heading underground because I just refused to take everything off to go to the bathroom. It wasn't until the summer of 2011 when I was underground at Mosaic's Kalanze potash mine where I consumed 3 bottles of water without realizing it. And when I got to the cage, I was told that I was going to be down for maintenance, which meant another 3 hours. I hadn't done it in 10 years, but now I had to use the washroom underground, and the porta potty that I was brought to actually had no door. It was held open with a massive boulder, which I was never going to move. So I proceeded to go in, turn out my cap lamp so nobody could see me, and disrobe to use the washroom. I could hear my stuff falling out of the pockets, and I thought, oh my God, this is disgusting. Got back dressed up, went to the station, sat on the bench, and said, I'm never wearing your coveralls again. So that's how Cover Gals was born, just out of my own frustration and personal need to use the bathroom. So since the startup of Cover Gals, we recently launched a consulting division, just 3 weeks new, where we actually work with mining companies to help them be a part of the change. Work with them to create inclusive workplace, look at the design so that women and men too actually feel like they're included in these work environments.
Perfect. So thank you everybody for coming out today. My name is Jill Newell. So I'm graduating from UBC's mining engineering program in May. So during my time there, I've definitely found a passion for mine rescue, and I've definitely seen that through mine rescue, you just grow so much more confidence, you find that you can be a leader, and that you have so much strength. So I took over the team in 2017 as president, and my first thing I wanted to do was create an all-female basket team, and I wanted to take us down to an international competition. So I did that, and we actually won first place. We beat a bunch of guys, which was an unreal feeling, but just to be able to see the women on that team kind of show all of their strengths and to see how well we work together in a place where we don't generally get to show that. So that was really cool. And then as recent as 2 weeks ago, I created Canada's first ever student level mine rescue competition. So just to get more students, more engineers familiar with mine rescue, familiar with the strengths and the skills and all the learning that you get from being a part of an emergency. So we did that. UBC won first place. I wasn't on the team because I knew all the answers, but it was really great good experience. Kari was actually a judge there as well as my boss Matt in the crowd. But yeah, so it's been an unreal experience in this industry. I am so glad I'm a part of it. It's only been about 7 years, so really looking forward to the future and what we can accomplish. Kari.
Great. Well, thank you everybody for coming. It's nice to see so many people here. My name is Kari Lentowicz. I started an organization, it's a nonprofit called Diamonds in the Rough in 2018. Back in 2007, my fellow co-founder and I were actually talking about how cool it would be to have an all-female mine rescue team, but we never ever had enough women to actually do that. So we kind of kept talking about it, not thinking it was something that would ever become a reality. And then in 2016, we happened to be participating as judges in the International Mines Rescue Competition here in Ontario in Sudbury. In that competition, out of 189 competitors, only 5 were women. So at that point, we're like, okay, this definitely needs to change. And also in that competition, we saw the first female captain compete at an international level. So that really gave me hope that this is something that we could do and break into. And one of the reasons that we picked Mine Rescue is because it happens to be one of the oldest boys' clubs in the mining industry. So over the next 2 years, we collaborated and we came up with an idea to form an organization that not only runs mine rescue, but also tries to encourage youth to get into the mining and mineral exploration industry, as well as getting into emergency response, and then doing public speaking events so we could share our experience and share some of the barriers that we have in order to encourage more women into mining by getting men to support us and women to start supporting women more. So in 2018, I took the first all-women's team to an international competition in Russia, which was very unique. It was great, best experience of my life. Don't tell my hubby that, but absolutely best experience of my life. And there we competed against 25 other countries, or 24 other countries, I should say. And out of those 25, overall we came 15th. We actually beat the national men's champions from Ontario. And we actually came 5th overall in the underground portion of the competition, which means we beat out a whole slew of men, including some of the Russian teams, the Polish teams, who were some of the strongest there. So we performed very well. We also won the People's Choice Award. We won a special award as well for making a difference in mine rescue. Since then, we've competed at a national, western, regional level in Fernie, BC. Jill was actually one of our competitors, a very strong competitor as well, and nice and tall for putting up Bradis's, which was great. And we did very well there. We came in 2nd in first aid. We came 6th overall. And this year, we're actually going to be competing in the International Mines Rescue Competition in West Virginia. And this will be the 2nd time that women have competed as a unified team at that level. And we're also hoping that there's another female team there. Since we did this in Russia, we've actually had several different companies across the world who put together female mine rescue teams. And out of the 14 countries that actually competed in Russia, 7 of those countries, it's illegal for women to work in the mining industry or illegal to work underground. So since Russia, we've also had 3 of those countries approach us and say, how do we change this? So we're already starting to break those barriers and encourage women to get into the mining industry, encouraging them to get into the emergency response aspects of that. And we've also had some great outcomes with the ladies we've trained so far. And we'll actually get you to watch a video here.
We're
It's
going to
6
share
minutes,
the
so
video
bear
with
with
you
us.
for 5 to 6 minutes, and then we'll have our panel discussion following that.
There was no hesitation. Whatever I could support, and if I could be a part of that, it was that was a no-brainer for me.
She and her team are looking to change the face of the mining industry. Mine rescuer Kari Lentowicz of Saskatchewan, a member of the all-female pan-Canadian Diamonds in the Rough mine rescue team, joins us on camera.
So when you possibly help and support women in mine rescue, we celebrate have need to have a question you have, I'll ask. Think about how you interact with the other men on your crews. And I'll ask someone, how do you interact with the other women on your crews? Is there a difference? And if there is, you should maybe be rethinking how you're interacting with both members. Being sure it's going to change the latitude of how you're interacting with each other.
I bleed my heartbeat and I sweat my blood. From days of darkness to nights we see, I give up my life to set you free. In fire drenched in hell, refusing to fall, might be our sons and our daughters who next take up the call. Not all fight for profit or rise for the pay. Speak grace and fury, crush barriers, let me.
We walked out of there, not just changing Mine Rescue Canada and on a world stage, but we walked out of there with that friendship's gonna last a lifetime. Yeah. Just couldn't do it without Pat. It's been a great journey. Yeah.
Through rock and sorrow infused with souls, through smoking angels, through black of coal, armed with the wisdom from once before, we're kneeling here on the devil.
It was a great confidence boost. It was a great way to see just how women of the industry are such great leaders when given the chance.
Diamond shine brilliance, but ripped through stone. Beauty comes second to the strength they show. Extract the fusion, the past made fault. Try and keep us out, Lord, we'll blow this temple.
But as far as changing mining, that's not what has to be changed. It's the attitude. It's the attitude.
Or it is actually illegal for some countries who even participate in competition to have women working underground. It only became legal in Canada in the 1970s.
The world is ready to have all women the army.
Through rock and sorrow, fused with souls, through smoking angels, through black of coal, armed with the wisdom from once before, we're kneeling here on the devil's floor. Through rock and sorrow, fused with souls, through smoking angels, through black of coal, that feeling of last from once before, all shattered here on the devil's.
It was a confidence booster for me. That was a life-changing experience for me. So
It's helped me become stronger. It's helped me actually be confident in who I am. If anything, it's given me a backbone when standing up to people in the industry, being like, I don't have to change who I am. I can be who I am and still be successful. I don't have to be controlled by people and do what they want. And it was the diamonds that showed me that I can be who I am.
Thank you so much, and thanks again for the opportunity to share our experience.
Carrying myself to all I know, I bleed my heartbeat and I sweat my blood. From days of darkness to nights we see, I give up my life to set you free.
Thank you for our crew behind the scenes for helping out with that AV and the, I'm sure it was very difficult for many of you to hear, but, often they say seeing is believing. So I think you could tell by the pictures and the images on that video what it really means for those teams to be involved and how they enjoyed participating and loved being a part of it and what it really meant for them. So we're getting to our panel discussion. And so we invite you, please feel free. We've got a few questions that we're going to direct at the panel that we think may be on your minds, but we'd love to hear from you as well. And so if you'd love to have a question, comment, please don't be shy. This mic can hurry and get to you very quickly. So in the meantime, we wanted to give just some context. We know certainly in Canada that the mining and metals is looking to replace about 60,000 jobs over the next few years. We know that's a trend on a global basis. We also know that there is a population in this world that's equivalent to, I don't know, ladies, what are we, about 50% plus? So it shows you we have enormous opportunity to play in this incredible space of natural resources, extractives, and to bring value to it. So we're really, really excited about it. Each one of these three panelists represent to you the leading, and you can tell by what they're doing. They're breaking ground and they're leading. They're role models in their industry, and not just for today, but for the next generation. So before we get into talking, woohoo, all right. They're acting so quiet. So we're gonna get them talking. So I would like to ask each one of the panelists if they can just share their perspectives. A lot of things have changed as it relates to women in all kinds of different sectors, if you will. And so I'd love to hear from their perspective what they've seen, maybe just some top key trends or how it's evolved over the past 5 years. Some of the barriers maybe that they've been able to overcome or that we still need to work on, or what they've seen, because it has changed dramatically. And each of these three women are leading that change. So we'll start with Alicia.
Oh, nice. Well, first I want to commend Kari and the team and what you've been doing. I know Cover Gal says, we immediately jumped on board because we just love and support what you're doing. And the reality is, for young females or just for women, you can't be what you don't see. And these are examples of what you can be. So I definitely commend the hard work that you guys have been doing. So thank you. And I think that's part of what's changing is people are stepping up and being present and doing their part. And I think everybody in the industry has a role to play on not just changing the perception of public on mining, but also to encourage that next generation of people to enter the industry and really share with them the opportunities that exist. The mining industry is full of opportunities. We're introducing new and cool technologies, and I think that is what's changing too. Integration of autonomous vehicles and battery electric vehicles and drones. So it's not as physical as it maybe used to be 30, 40 years ago. So creating more opportunities. I've definitely seen the number of spaces in a dry grow. When I first started, I would change in someone's office. Or maybe a closet that was converted to a dry, or maybe get geared up at the hotel and change there. So definitely the physical, infrastructure is changing. The other thing is, companies are now actually looking at, and on the Cover Gal space is, we're working with them to create inclusive work environments. Because it's not just about gender diversity, it's about, are you creating an environment that, is inclusive to not only your female workforce, but your male workforce as well. So looking at workplace design, is your workwear properly fitting your employees? Not just women, there are some small men out there too. Are they safely outfitted? Looking at, bathroom facilities underground, women just don't need those, men need those too. Looking at dries and all those aspects, even equipment design, are they designed for an inclusive workforce? So we are starting to see that change. It has taken some time, and I'm sure it'll take a little bit more, but there are definitely some people in the industry that are being proactive and coming forward and helping to do that.
Thank you, Alicia. Jillian, I recognize that you're new, but we'd love to hear your perspective. It's really important. We've heard different kinds of statistics in that we've heard that mining engineering programs are actually on the decline. And we've heard that participants, male and female, are not enrolling in these kinds of programs. And so we definitely, you're the talent that we want to lead and thought lead and encourage to consider this industry. So we want to hear your perspective.
Yeah, it is true. So I've only been in this industry for pretty much a heartbeat, and but what I have seen is it is getting better. When I first started, I remember my first job, right? I was put into coveralls, way too big. The boots didn't fit. I had to wear 30, I don't even know how many pairs of socks, but, and it was a different kind of environment. And up until today, and obviously as kind of bigger companies take over, you see them care more. And I mean, even at this conference, it's unreal the amount of men that come up to us and say, we want more women, not to hit quotas, not to hit any kind of numbers, but because women are the ones that are taking the time with the equipment. They're not running it till it's completely broken, you know. Women, we want to help each other. We're supportive. We're supportive not of the other women, but of the men in the workforce as well. So it's quite inspiring, especially, you know, as a woman coming in, as a student, because we do see that in the university. Our department's getting smaller and smaller. They actually want to have maybe it meld with a different department, which I think is really going to take away from the industry to not have such a dedicated program. Because I mean, the mining engineering, you need that education to really have a great industry and to have kind of the experience and the knowledge. So I'm really seeing it. I mean, obviously with what Kari's doing in the youth engagement, it's huge. I mean, I came in not knowing really about mining. I mean, I was dating a guy who was a diamond driller, and I thought, oh, that's so cool. Like, you're in the middle of nowhere. Like, I want to do that. So I went in to think geology, right? And yeah, welcome to why I'm here. But so I went in, I was so set on geology, and then all of a sudden it was a buddy of mine. He went into mining engineering, and he just kind of talked about, I'm like, that's what I want to do. I don't want to, I mean, no offense to geologists. It was exactly what I wanted, but I didn't even know about it. And I'm from Vancouver Island. I mean, I'm an hour from a mine, and we don't have that knowledge coming in at the school level. I mean, especially in Vancouver, where I'm from now, it's almost an anti-mining, and I think that's not right. Like, it's obviously the education isn't getting there, and I think as we go through and it is changing, we need to really target educating people young. Like, I think that's something that I'm seeing growing.
Yeah, thank you, Jillian. Kari, what have you seen over the past few years?
My last few years in mining, I've worked in the industry for about 20 years now, and I've seen a lot. I will reiterate what these women have said. It is getting a lot better than it was, but there's a lot of challenges. One of my biggest pet peeves is the hardwired infrastructure, the hardwired gender bias that we see. Alicia touched on it a little bit. When I first went to a mine site in northern Saskatchewan, there was a dry, and it was so ridiculous. There was 4 lockers in there. There was 1 shower and a toilet, and the space was so small that if one woman was in there, you couldn't have anybody else in there. So it was really ridiculous. It was also a uranium mine, so they have to have a good separation of dirty and dry, and that wasn't there. Later on, they actually built a larger dry. It had 40 lockers in there, and before they built that, I actually asked the question, why are you building it so small? And they said, well, we'll never have that many women in mining. I said, with that attitude, you won't. So they built this dry, and then that filled up within the next couple of years, and they're in the process now of having a lot of difficulty because they still haven't built an adequate dry space. PPE was another thing. I mean, I'm definitely a tank of a girl, so I fit it maybe a little bit better, but you had the crotch hanging to your knees. Anytime you squatted down, there you go. You'd be showing everybody your underwear. So it was quite challenging that way. Thankfully, I have size 9 men's feet, so they did have the boots that fit me, which was great. But there was a lot of things that were inadequate. Bathroom facilities underground, same with Alicia. There was no bathroom facility underground for women when I first got there, and they kept saying, we'll just use the men's. I'm like, yeah, that's not happening. So that hardwired gender bias really needs to change. And one of the things that we really try to do is bring that awareness out to people so they can understand that, you know, if you're an engineer, if you're a project manager, there's these questions that you can ask your design teams to make those environments more inclusive. Because an inclusive environment is a safer environment. Your maintenance records improve, your reliability of equipment improves, and overall your bottom line improves. So why wouldn't we want to do that? So I see a lot of women here. We need people like you to get interested in the mining industry and stay within it, because that's the other problem that we're seeing. Alicia again touched on it. You can't be what you don't see. We need more mentors in the mining industry. We need more male mentors as well, more of that support. And I'm seeing that so much more. People like Kent Armstrong there, Matthew, very, very strong supporters of women in the industry. And we need more men supporting us like that. And as women, we've taught to be competitors, because there's only so many spots for us up at the top, so we compete against each other. And what I'm seeing now is that transition to women supporting each other and saying, hey, you know what, I've got this great person here, she's great for this job, I need you to look at her because the person that you got picked out has nothing on this person, you know, so really supporting each other that way. So
excellent, leading perfectly right into our next question. So we can talk about and understand it's really important, the history and barriers, etc. However, and my company is called Women on the Move, we're interested in how to move the dial forward. We want to move it forward, and we are moving it forward clearly with these innovative women and many of you in the audience. What I'd like to ask the panelists now is, what do you think? And we talk a lot about gender bias, we talk a lot about things in the workplace setting. Specifically, and you all have touched on this, is that we want an inclusive setting. We want a highly productive and highly enjoyable, and that clearly is men and women working in harmony. So, to that end, this is not about a woman thing, it's not about a man thing, it's about us working in harmony. So I would love to hear your interpretation of what you believe, that we can look at our male counterparts and say, this is what we think would really be helpful for you to consider helping us create this harmonious environment. Thoughts?
Well, I have an immediate one that comes to mind, and actually it just happened yesterday, but I think, you know, when you look at the men, I think it's being the, you know, mentoring women, and I have some amazing male mentors that have helped me kind of along my career journey, but, you know, if you also look back at your home, and, you know, this one father-daughter duo has been coming to PDAC now for 9 years together. So this father brings his daughter around to introduce her to the mining industry, make her aware of the opportunities. And as a result, she has gone to university, got a degree, getting a master's, and entering mining. But that conversation started at home, and that was a supportive father. And, you know, ever since I saw that first father-daughter duo, we actually created a hashtag called Be Like Rob, which is her father. We have seen more and more every year father-daughter duos coming here. And I think that's important too, is, you know, what conversations are being held around the kitchen table when your children are there? You know, are you promoting them and just creating this, you know, gender-neutral roles conversation? So I think that's one thing that men can do, is even look in their own home environment, whether it's their own daughters or their nieces or their sisters, and just really support the conversation there.
Yeah, that's excellent, Alicia. Thank you. Jillian.
Me? Okay. Yeah, and like I said, I mean, I haven't really come up against a lot of men saying, no, you can't do this. No, I mean, really, it's been an unreal support. So what I find is, if men could be more supportive of women supporting each other, like, don't pin us against each other, don't think, oh, well, she did this. I mean, I'm not here to compete again. I want everyone to do well, men and women, anyone it is, right? So just to make your environments inclusive to all. I mean, in some of the jobs I've had, I felt that I was pinned against another female purely because I was another girl. And I'm like, well, why can't I just work with her? So just allow us to work together, right? Just let us do our thing, because we're great together.
Thank you for that. Kari?
Yes, I reiterate a lot of that. The youth engagement is so important. One of the things that we do is we go into the schools and we try and connect the interests of the youth with the mining industry, because there's a lot of kids that don't know what's out there. We had one kid, he's like, I want to be a biologist. There's nothing for me in the mining industry. I think all of us would highly disagree with that. They're very important in our industry. So opening the eyes of the youth, and then we also talk to them about, you know, the differences that we see and how they can change the platform so that there's more equality, it's more inclusive, and really having those conversations with them. At the industry level, really forming those partnerships with the men, our male co-workers, having that support and fostering those people. If you don't see women moving up within your company, maybe you need to mentor those people. Look at the people that you have. There's a wealth of knowledge, and we really need to pick them up and raise them to a level where they can be successful, because often women were taught to hold back. We don't toot our own horn, and I've known a few people who toot their own horn that really don't have a horn to toot and still get the job. So, I mean, we really need to look at those resources and really promote them. And I think we're seeing that a lot more, and that is great. So take that away and think about people that you work with and really look at those valuable resources and try and get them to an upper level where they can be the person that's a mentor for the next one.
Thank you, ladies. So one last question from the host, and then we'll give it to the audience. But can you tell us how each one of your businesses that you've seen is adapting to the new needs? And the new needs that we're speaking about is, definitely we obviously need PPE. However, beyond that, it's not just about putting us in the right, that's an absolute essential, putting us in the right equipment, but beyond that, what do you see in how that the workplace design, workplace environment settings require, and how is your business meeting some of those requirements?
Well, I think on the CoverGal side, we did launch a consulting division a few weeks ago, and that was as a result of, the requests we were getting from industry. And so I had an opportunity in December to travel with Brazil and engage with Yamana at their Jacobina site, which was a pretty amazing experience. So, my role there was to engage with the workforce. It originally started as female, but then they actually realized that the conversation needs to be female and male. Engaged with them, over a few days, going to all areas of the mine site, underground, plant, surface, and just really seeing, what barriers were there, interviewing the employees because they'd be a little bit more open and honest with me as opposed to perhaps their supervisor. There's always that risk of, will I come off as complaining or whining, or will I potentially lose my job if I speak up? So it was a very kind of neutral place. So gather that feedback. We then went back to Yamana, kind of giving them an assessment where, maybe 5 things bubbled to the top of the surface. And since then, we did actually create a workwear program for all of their male and female employees, because we actually realized there was current challenges with the male workwear with respect to safety, health, and productivity and comfort. Since then, Yamana has decided to take that workwear program and actually apply to all of their operations globally, which is pretty exciting. And so Yamana really is committed to creating inclusive work environments for their employees, and I applaud the work that they're doing. And what I felt when I got to that site, the culture is kind of one that I've never seen before by walking on a mine site. So, kudos to Yamana for the work that they're doing.
Jillian, any comments?
I can kind of speak for the university. So
Sure.
in our mining degree, we finally have more women teachers and professors, and they've actually been doing a really great job of bringing in women of the industry. So everyone here, they invite them in to actually just talk to the whole group. And that has done so much for the girls in our class, because we see these professional, successful women, and then we can picture it. We can picture ourselves doing those jobs, because all I see, and there's nothing wrong, obviously men are smart and obviously very successful, but you don't see a lot of women CEOs. So when you actually get to see one and talk to one and realize that it is possible, it makes the biggest difference. So I really encourage everyone in the audience to be more active at the student level and at the younger levels as well.
Great comment. Kari?
Well, I've seen a lot of great changes over the years. I just think back to when I was a summer student in the mining industry to now. With some of the equipment that's being designed, actually going out there and talking to the people, the women in the industry, and saying, how can we make this a better fit for you? We've had some great success with that. I remember when I was a summer student, one of the mines, we had, our boss loved us for the care we had for the equipment. So we were the ones that got to drive the equipment all the time. And we had 2 ladies, and they were very tiny. So in order to operate the Bobcat, they actually had to throw a sandbag on the seat to activate it so they could actually drive it. So one of the things that you are seeing is the mechanics of these pieces of equipment change to be modified for the different sizes. And that doesn't just benefit women, it benefits men as well, because mining isn't these 350-pound burly miners going to a rock face with a pickaxe. So, the modification of that equipment is so important. And I believe it's BHP, they've actually started putting pressure on their supply companies to make their equipment suitable to be modified based on the size of the person. So those things are very important, and it's so nice to see companies doing stuff like that and partnering with people like Alicia to have PPE that fits you properly. I can attest, like, she was our first sponsor when I pitched our Diamonds in the Rough in 2018, and I was so excited to actually have PPE that fit me. It was great. So it's nice to see people like Alicia not only partnering with companies, but partnering with people like us who are nonprofits to lift us up and help support us in what we do.
Excellent comments. Thank you very much. So, may I turn it over to the audience and look for any questions, comments? Thank you.
Well, first of all, thank you, and it was amazing talk. Myself, I've been in mining for 17 years, 3 different countries, and now in Canada for the last 10. So I can relate with a lot of the comments coming up. Mining industry, again, is not about genders. It's about working together, get the job done in a proper, safe way. Like, how am I going to be safe? Feeling comfortable to start with, in a good environment, with good people, with good team. Like, the mining industry is changing for good. I truly believe on that, in every single continent, right? But it is a lot to do, much more to do. When you're talking about going through school, talk about it, bring it out there, it is huge. Because all the girls and boys knows what is going on in the mining industry. Like, this is a big family. At the end of the day, this is a big family that want to work together, safe, and go back home and give the best life for your family. How are we going to do that? Together. Like, no short hair, long hair, black, white, whatever. It is going to be what we want to have inside our heart, our hard work, our ethics, values, and morals at the end of the day. So I'm very proud to be here today to listen to you. Like, you're an amazing woman. You're doing your job. You're doing what you believe in, and that's going to drive this to a next level. We're not there yet where we wish one day to be, but we're in a good path. And with mentors, men mentors, women's mentors, even very young people mentors, because we can rely on them too, is a good future. And I truly believe it's in a good path. But we cannot do this alone. We have to work together. So I'm very proud to be here today. And honestly, it's great to see these changes. And I'm so excited for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadia. I don't think I could say it even remotely as good as you did. So thank you for your comments. Really appreciate them. Don.
I own a plastic injection molding factory and I do hard work. And I had one lady, she was 63, and she was funny as hell, but then fantastic. Girl talked to me, was breast cancer. But sometimes the best man for the job is her.
Thank you, Donald. Thank you very much. So Donald's departing remarks were sometimes the best man for the job is a woman. Thank you for that. So any other comments? Yes. Matthew. Over to Matthew.
Hi, Matthew Curtis from Newmont. First of all, thank you very much for the panel. Just amazing and great job. I guess I'll kind of throw a question out for you for advice for young women kind of going into the industry. From experience, what I've seen is a lot of times, you have a lot of young women going into our industry, and all it takes is the opportunity to give them a chance to shine. And every time I've ever seen a lady or a woman get the opportunity to shine, it just always blows your mind away. What advice would you give to young women going into this industry to give them that first chance to be given the chance to be given that opportunity in a mining company to be able to shine?
One of the things that I would say is to first look for a mentor. Often we don't have that opportunity handed to us on a platter when we first get there, but we need to take some of that responsibility on for ourselves. And when we work for a company, look for somebody who's interested in what we do, and ask them. Say, can you mentor me? I would really like to learn from you, and I'd really like to have you on my side. And I think that's something that young ladies need to understand and take on.
Yeah, and I think you can't be afraid to ask for that either, right? And I think as you go through that career journey, your requests will be different of different mentors. And I think most people are willing to help out and guide you along the way. You just have to ask, and that's really how I've met some of my most amazing mentors, a lot which are men. I've gone to them looking for advice. Another thing in terms of letting women shine or move up, I heard yesterday of a company that is actually doing an opt-out promotion. And what that means is, let's say there's a new promotion open, they look at all the candidates that are on the equal level, and they actually offer to all of them. So they're not waiting for those employees to put their hand up saying, hey, I want to apply for this. They actually consider everybody, and you have the option to opt out. And you can opt out for reasons, whether it's family or you're content where you are, but you're all given the same opportunity, and you have the decision to pull yourself out.
I have the mic now, sorry. You're next. So my name is Jennifer Sloat, and I'm the CEO of Mine IQ. I came into mining from a different perspective, not from engineering or the actual mining business, but from technology. And when I moved back into Sudbury and realized what the opportunities were, I started building mobile apps and software for control room operators. So it's just kind of a perspective that there are other opportunities. You don't have to be just a miner, and that's, geology or biology and all these other things. There's the opportunities are everywhere.
Thanks, agreed.
Thank you, Jen.
Jen's
Thank
also
you
part of
very
the
much.
Artemis project. So is Erica.
Yes, a little plug for that Artemis project. Oh, the one that I leave. Over here.
Thank you so much. Hi everyone. That was great. I was really impressed with the comments and thoughts here. I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm one of the women that we've incorporated a non-for-profit organization. It's called Women Geoscientists in Canada, and we are a group of women in technical roles, a group of geologists, geophysicists, geochemists, and we really want to empower ladies who are in technical roles and work together to go stronger. So I'd be happy to be in touch if you want. I have some cards with me.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you very much for that. And I'm sure there's some mining companies that would be interested as a source of potential employment opportunities as well with your organization. So, alrighty, we're getting to 3 o'clock. Very shortly, we have time for maybe one more question. One more question. Oh, okay.
Candidates, yeah. Another question, just fantastic gals. 10 years ago, I hired a female trainer. Trust me, I was taking the task. She killed it, just like you girls here. Fantastic. It's awesome.
Thank you, Jen.
Well, if we don't have any more questions, we know that the agenda is very, very busy for PDAC. Oh, Kari's got a question, comment.
I just have a comment. We're putting the video up that we had on YouTube. And just so you guys know, the song that's in the background was actually written for Diamonds in the Rough. There was a guy in Saskatchewan who was really moved by what we did. So him and this lady wrote a song, and you can download it on iTunes or Spotify, and all the proceeds actually go back to our nonprofit.
Oh, that's so cool. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so we wish you, again, thank you to our panelists who clearly are innovating and leading the way for advancement of more women to attract, retain, and advance women in mining and metals. You are incredible role models and leaders, and I know you take that to heart in all the work you do, in your work, outside of your work, in the community. And we all are extremely appreciative, and thank you for that, and hope you amplify it a bit more, since it is a great opportunity for women to hear more about the opportunities of women in mining.
Thanks,
Heather.
Okay, our pleasure. I hope you've enjoyed our session.